You never knew this about Jordan Peterson's journey to God. Jordan Peterson. For some, a beloved figure in the field of clinical psychology. For others, an embodiment of toxic masculinity. We didn't say that, some reporters did. A divisive individual, you either love Jordan's view in the world or you hate it. It's your choice to make. Speaking of choices, Peterson has recently given a speech on exactly that topic. Welcome to Wisdom Tank. Today we're taking a look at the one thing you never knew about Jordan Peterson's journey to God. Make sure you stick until the end of this video in order to get the full story. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Jordan was born on the 12th of July 1962 in Canada. We know this is helpful information for those of you looking to research his astrological chart. He began gaining popularity in the late 2010s, mostly due to his political and cultural views. These views are often considered conservative, but Jordan has called himself a classic British liberal and traditionalist. Not many people saw him as a religious man, nor is he, as he describes faith and religion to be two separate things. However, the Bible analogies and metaphors used in his commencement speech to graduates of Michigan's Hillsdale College took some people by surprise. The Canadian psychologist has a well-established online presence and is a sought-after speaker. He provides life advice, especially to young troubled men, and sometimes uses biblical archetypes to explain some of the complexities of human nature. He did the same thing in his speech as Hillsdale College. Here are the few of the biblical anecdotes and stories he referenced. Devil at the Crossroads. The professor warned students about the devil at the crossroads they were about to encounter more and more as life goes on. He provided support, saying that students were no longer the people they were 4 years ago, where they began their studies. They now find themselves at a crossroads where they should strive to become a better and improved iteration of themselves. He also explained why the devil appears at the crossroads. His view is that every time an important choice has to be made, we can either aim up or down, and that there'll always be some sort of temptation enticing us to aim down. The devil takes the form of these temptations and waits for us at the crossroads. Cain and Abel. Next, Peterson mentioned the biblical account of Cain and Abel. He used the story as an example of the spirit of temptation. The story was interpreted as such. Cain made improper sacrifices instead of opting for what was considered in the service of the higher good. As Jordan puts it, Cain's choices were deceptive and arrogant simultaneously. He tells this story as a means to warn students about the temptation of the following presumption. He stated, "When we make improper sacrifices, we believe in the deepest part of ourselves that we've pulled one over God. This endeavor of improper sacrifices is described as temptation, which should be avoided at all costs." The Genesis. Jordan referenced the story of Genesis, in particular sections 6, 9 through 9:17. That's the part where God floods the earth to get rid of all of mankind, except for Noah and his family. God made this decision because of the way people started to act. In his view, they had lost their way. After presenting the story of Genesis, Peterson didn't refrain from getting personal. He offered as an example the illness-ridden youth of his daughter. He warned her not to use her illness as an excuse for anything, even if she often had all the rights to do so. He describes the feeling of embitterment as another temptation, that of faithless hopelessness. He then goes on to instill hope into students' minds by saying, "When you're counseled to despair, rise up in courage and see if you can resist it." This quote sure is one of the main takeaways of his entire speech and the embodiment of the message he was trying to convey. The act of resisting temptation is, simply put, better for you and better for the people around you, in Jordan's words. This is what he relates to the biblical story of flood, ignoring temptation in order to better yourself and those around you. Tower of Babel. Also a part of Genesis, this 11:1-11:9, the story of Tower of Babel is thought to be a Luciferan one. Jordan resembles the tall structure built by Noah's descendants, meant to reach into heaven with a symbol of prideful intellect. Just like Lucifer, who rose too high and then fell while challenging God, people who end up celebrating their own intellect have a high probability of going down in some sort of way. Building your very own empire, albeit small, which is focused on your narrow purposes, is the same as celebrating your intellect. As the primary reason why doing what is wrong, or at the very least unwanted, Jordan said, "Don't you want to rule over hell?" Jordan Peterson's advice. The world-renowned author advised students that the best course of action for their current life situation of graduates is breaking their lives down into practicalites. He suggests building an image of oneself through all these practicalites, such as a career, relationships, or civic duties. With all of these, one should be able to assume that, with the proper sacrifices, they can have all they need and even all they want. Peterson claims that the good that unites all goods is in fact reflected of the image of Christ. He relates this image with that of accepting the sufferings of life. As such, the clinical psychologist had this to say about the promises of Christianity. They're more true than anything else. Even though he was raised Protestant, he does not consider himself a Christian yet. Famously, he stated on a podcast in 2018 that it would probably take him more than 3 years before he could really say he believed in Christ's resurrection. More recently, he admitted he had no idea yet what to make of Christianity. Additionally, he claimed it's too terrifying a reality to fully believe. Jordan's daughter, Mikhaila, revealed that she came to believe in God after a peculiar event. While traveling to Austin, Texas, she was faced with 4 separate issues. As she discussed them later with a Texan stranger, he told her to seek God, and he will reveal himself. Later that night, she gave a prayer a chance, and when she woke up the following day, all 4 of her problems had solved themselves overnight. Mikhaila describes an unusual feeling of calm, but is still wondering whether the experience was a fluke or not. Well, what do you think? Are Jordan Peterson and his daughter Mikhaila right? Let us know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching until the end. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, share and subscribe with notifications on. We'll see you next time on Wisdom Tank.